Morning, everybody. We're continuing our look at the runners of the Bible. Yesterday, we looked at Joseph who ran away from sin. Today, we want to take a look at somebody who ran towards danger. And of course, who better to run towards danger than David? Of course, story comes to us out of 1 Samuel 17, and very familiar passage for many people. Uh, David, or the nation of Israel, is at war with the Philistines, and the Philistines are on one side of the valley, the Israelites are on another side of the valley. And day after day, a giant comes out and calls out from the Philistines to the Israelites, saying, "Send somebody over here to fight me. If you win, then we'll be your slaves. If you win, we'll be your slaves." And this happened for like 40 days, and he defied the nation of Israel. And one day David shows up and here's what's going on, and he's like, "Who's gonna go fight this guy? Come on, he's bad mouthing God. Let's go do something about this." And of course, he goes out and gets the small stones. And the verse I wanted to point out was verse 48. It says, as of chapter 17, as the Philistine moved closer to attack him, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Then it goes on, reaching into his bag and taking out a stone, he slung it and struck the Philistine on the forehead, and the stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. David ran towards the danger. And I know that in our day and age, we don't run towards danger. We run away from danger. We stay away from it as much as we can. But it wasn't David being reckless. David wasn't just going out there because he felt like this guy was just a big bully. He went out there against Goliath because the Lord had said to him, "Go do this thing." I mean, we don't see that in scripture, but David's like, "I know that God's going to go with me." In fact, as the Philistines coming at him and says, "What do you do? Am I a dog that you send a boy out here?" And he defies God. And David says to him, "You come at me with your weapons, but I come at you in the name of the Lord. There's nothing that's going to stop me." Not that, again, he went out there recklessly. He took 5 stones. I sometimes think we forget that David didn't just take one stone, he took 5 stones with him. And he went out and he raced out there, and he wasn't going to let Goliath mean mouth God, take down God. Now, God doesn't need us to defend him, he can do anything. But when somebody starts going after our God, it should be upon us to stand up and say, "No, not in my house," right? One of the greatest college football coaches of all time was Knute Rockne, right? Notre Dame. And he was well known for his pep talks about going and not stopping until they accomplished their goal. And I think sometimes we see the enemy, we see those things that rise up against us, and we get scared. Remember, Goliath was over 9 feet tall. David was just a shepherd boy at that point. David had a stone and a slingshot. Goliath had spears and javelins and shields and armor. David still went out there and he did it. He ran towards the enemy. Sometimes I think in our faith walk we get so caught up in the things that are out there that we recline, or we resist, or we run away from the fights that God is saying, "I've called you to be a part of that. I want you to stand up. I want you to go and to do." In a few days, we're going to look at stories where Jesus went and people ran to him for healing and ran to him for hope. People should be running to us the same way that we run towards God, and the way that we stand up for the things of God, and we don't quit, we persevere, right? We keep on keeping on. So, church, what things are holding you back from fighting the good fight for God? What are the things that God is telling you go forth and do? like David did? What enemy do we need to take our stand against? Paul in Ephesians tells us to put on the full armor of God, and he says 3 times that we need to take our stand. That's an offensive stand. It's not just a defensive stand, it's an offensive stand. We don't like to say that. We're supposed to be Christians, right? Turn the other cheek. But sometimes God says you need to go and do those things. Fight. Be willing to fight for the things of God. Again, God can defend himself. And I'm not telling you to become militant. I'm not telling you to be radical. I'm just telling you what things in your life is the enemy whispering in your ear, it's too big. You can't beat that. Maybe it's an addiction. Maybe that addiction in your life is over 9 feet tall and you don't feel like you can beat it. But God is saying, run at it, hit that problem head on, and you'll be amazed at what God can do. Maybe it's a relationship that's been broken for a long time, and the enemy says, "Oh, they'll never forgive you. That friend will never welcome you back in." And God's saying, "Go for it. Go at it. Run at that and take care of the things that I'm calling you to." Church, I know I'm running longer than I normally do, but this is important stuff. What are the things in your life that God is telling you to run to? We run away from sin, but we run to the things of God. What are the things that God is calling you to run towards today? God be with you this day. Keep on keeping on, church, and don't stop until you're over that goal line. Keep on keeping on.